So going from the smartphone world to the PC world, we have the 5090 in reviewers' hands and reviews are in. And it's kind of a womp womp, not gonna lie, because the performance increase is less than advertised. Sure, the RTX 5090 is a great card, and if you're upgrading from something like a 20 series or a 30 series, it's sure going to be a big bump. But we have a massive review mega thread from r/nvidia that I just want to look through some of the review snippets that they put up in here. So let's see. We have from BabbleTech Reviews, the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5090 Founders Edition's powerful performance makes it an essential upgrade for enthusiasts and professionals aiming to push the limits of what's possible in digital environments. Purists will not enjoy DLSS 4 and will want a much larger raw performance jump, but for those that do, the performance uplift will make you drop your jaw like it did ours. So the AI upscaling and DLSS and frame gen has been a subject of controversy. I talked about it on the podcast before, how this DLSS technology is sort of a tax that is added on to these graphics cards. And while it is a useful tech, NVIDIA in particular uses it in a way and advertises it in a way that is misleading to a lot of gamers and consumers. And often, from generation to generation of graphics cards, we seem to be getting a lot of diminishing returns when it comes to, every generation of graphics cards going forward. And it seems like, let me take a look here with Digital Foundry. Let's see. Yep, speaking of which, DLSS 4's multi-frame generation is an effective tool for pushing frame rates, though arguably not performance to higher levels on RTX 5090. It's best used along similarly high-end 4K 144Hz monitors, so it's no surprise that NVIDIA as its partners ensured that reviewers had to access to 4K 240Hz screens for their testing. If you're lucky enough to be in that situation, you can use MFG to essentially max out your monitor's refresh rate. So you can max out your refresh rate, but is heavily dependent on these AI features, which I think a lot of people are starting to get a little irritated by, because multi-frame gen and frame gen in general does have its drawbacks, where you get an increase in latency and you get some artifacts and smears when you're playing games. So it's definitely a mixed bag in terms of how people really feel about these, frame gen features and DLSS features. So let's go. I'm trying to see. Let's take a look here. PC World. In a vacuum, the RTX 5090 delivers around 30% average boost in gaming performance over the RTX 4090. That's a solid generational improvement, but one we've seen throughout history delivered at the same price point as the older, slower outgoing hardware. NVIDIA is asking for an extra $500 on top. Seems garish and overblown from that perspective. And yeah, NVIDIA had claimed that the 5090 was almost double the performance, but it seems in terms of, raw specs, we're only getting like a 30% average boost, which definitely is part of NVIDIA's misleading marketing, especially with DLSS. So, yeah, I would definitely say that obviously this is a graphics card for consumers, and, like they say, nobody needs a $2,000 graphics card to play games. But if you want one and you don't mind the price, it's easily the most powerful. But obviously, the caveat is that some games will only really see that bump with DLSS, which is unfortunate. But it seems like, even for the money, it is a solid card. So, in terms of the 50 series, it seems like it's a bit rocky so far in terms of reviews. Personally, I'm after a 5080 graphics card for my new build, at least if I, can actually make one this year. That's been, up for contention for the past few months, but I know that this generation will be a solid upgrade for me, at least, because I currently have a 2070 Super in my rig right now, and, if I get a new PC this year, it's going to be a well-deserved upgrade, and a good upgrade at that. But in terms of the 5090, it's so far so meh.